What President Trump has done on the record makes what Nixon did look almost small.
We are looking at abuse of power and a level of corruption here that makes the Nixon impeachment look like child's play.
I see it simply as a global Watergate.
They come up with their lines in the morning and they just repeat them all day long. They love comparing Trump to Watergate and his conduct to Watergate. But if that's true, why aren't they following any of the precedents set by the Nixon impeachment inquiry? Joining me now, two historians to set the record straight. Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow, along with Craig Shirley, presidential historian and author of the great new book. Now, this book is coming out tomorrow. I read it when it was in proofs. Mary Ball Washington, the untold story of George Washington's mother. And she was a woman ahead of her time, tough but fair, and a devoted woman in prayer. It's a phenomenal book, Mary Ball Washington. Craig, I forgot it was coming out tomorrow. Fantastic news. Everyone get out and get that book tonight. Victor, let's start with you, though. Democrats, they love to complain about Trump. They say he's upsetting norms, yet this is how they're conducting this impeachment, the way they've been doing it?
Yeah, if they really believe that it's as bad as Watergate, all they'd have to do is get another special prosecutor like Leon Jaworski or Ken Starr in the Clinton case. They don't want to do that. They've already done that with the Mueller investigation that found nothing. And they themselves, in the case of Pelosi and Nadler, have lectured us what not to do about an impeachment. You must have bipartisan support. They told us that in the Clinton era. We don't. We must have public support. We don't. This is the first time we've done it in the modern era that we've done it with a first-term president. Andrew Johnson, over 150 years ago, probably wouldn't have run for re-election. But this is new, Laura, because we're basically saying we're not going to wait for a year. We're going to impact or influence the upcoming election by the use of impeachment. And that's pretty much what Representative Green and Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said in not so many words, that this was a way to stop him from being reelected. And so I don't think it really has much to do about crimes or high crimes and misdemeanors or impeachment. It's all about fear that if Donald Trump is reelected in 2020, then their notion of what the Supreme Court should be, or borders closed, closed borders, or
it's a political
global warming. It's all about that, and they have to stop him by any means necessary. But this is not what impeachment was intended by the founders. This is a way to destroy a first-term president.
All right, Craig. Now, you've written books about 1941. You've written the seminal works about Reagan's entire life. Okay, you've written about pretty much every aspect of the American founding. With everything that you've seen, that you've researched, that you've written about, now Mary Ball Washington, the mother of our first president, what do you think about what this is now? What has been happening? Whatever you think about Trump's politics aside, what do you think about this and how this is being used as a cudgel, as Victor just said?
I think, quite frankly, this is going to be a footnote in history, Laura. It's an old cliche now that impeachment is political, but it is political. But the fact is that you need the broad support of the American people. You know, Nixon survived for quite a while until the Ervin Committee, began an investigation, and then the Rodino Committee began an investigation, and slowly, the web was untangled, and it became clear that Nixon was guilty of conspiring to cover up the break-in of the Watergate Hotel. This is simply not getting the support of the broad base of the American people. And so what we have really is a polarized country. My guess is the Democrats, frankly, have peaked on this thing.
But John Dean, but hold on, Craig. John Dean has said this is worse than Watergate since June 1st, 2017. I think Victor wrote the first column on that on when he fired Comey. So that's what John Dean has been dining out on. You've known John Dean for a long time.
Sure,
Watergate days.
But they keep comparing it to Watergate, but they don't say how it compares to Watergate. They don't say where the actual crimes are of Richard Nixon. They don't say, how this is played out the way it did for Richard Nixon. They're not making their case. It's kind of they're filling the air with hot rhetoric instead of facts, and so the American people aren't just kind of tuning it off as just being basically partisan politics and nothing more.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Great to have you both on tonight. And get out and get Mary Ball Washington. Phenomenal book by Craig Shirley.